Hey, we're back. Today we're going to create a dragon eye. This is a acrylic beginner's tutorial. Simple step-by-step how to paint a dragon eye. You can create any color or choose a different color than what I'm going to show you. I tried to use the red so it's kind of dramatic effect, but you can choose the color you like. Hopefully you'll enjoy this video and thank you for joining me again.
Okay, I'm using a 8x8 canvas stapled on back, and then I use a gesso for the black part of the background, then using the chalk to sketch the eye of the dragon. Try not to center our dragon eye like off a little bit, and then if you're not familiar with hand drawn or freehand drawing or sketching, I suggest to practice, or you can trace this part in this section. Black and titanium white just mix with a little bit of those two to create a gray effect. So I'm just layering the gray part, so that's just a sketch for now. And then this is the first layer of the eye itself. I'm using the cadmium red, some orange, but this is the first layer, so it doesn't really show much. And then the white part is just kind of glare, and then add another layer of medium cadmium red. As you can see, the layout of the white kind of rectangle line in there, that's for our guide for our glare. And that section in there, the inner part, you have to use the orange, cadmium orange. And then the center is like a triangle, upside down triangle for the black of the pupil. So let's highlight the eyelid of our dragon eye. At first, it doesn't really matter if you added too much. We can just modify it later on. So there's gonna be a lot of layering anyway, so don't worry about if it's too much white in there. And then at the edge of the eyes, that needs to be black. So now it's just another layer, but later on it needs to be totally black on the edges of the eye. Pay attention on the strokes and direction of the brush and how I apply the dark red, which is our cadmium red, and then the orange. So pay much attention of those because it's also give a effect on our eye layering. So in the upside down triangle, half of that I added a square titanium white. That's for the glare. It's a small square, or it can be a rectangle, depends on how big is your eye, the way you the size of your dragon eye. Okay, I added another layer on the eye earlier, so I wish you you pay attention to that direction of the strokes again. So this time we're going to add the scales of our dragon. So this is just a gray. If you have a gray, you can use gray, or go ahead and just mix your black and a little bit of titanium white on it. So just try to layer all these scales as well. At first, just do research the fish scales or dragon scales, so you have an idea the direction and the concave of those scales. These ones are the spikes of the dragon. We're doing the spikes, first layer of the spikes. So I'm still using the gray color. I mixed the black and the white, and then just a spike in there, a pointy on the bottom and then a pointy on the top. And then we will do multiple of these spikes in the upper area of our eye. So just keep doing the first layer and then we will modify. So I'm just adding all those first layer of our spikes, multiple spikes. Try to add smaller section or shorter section in the front and then the longer section on the back of that, the following rows of that one. So I'm just keep adding them, making sure that there's a space that we can really see that the spike is present. Again, I'm adding the second layer. I modify it. If it's too much white, I added more black, and then if it's too much black, I added more white. So as you can see, it's just keep layer, layer, layer. The more we layer, the more it kind of pops. Okay, this the size and the form of our spike. It looks like a triangle with if you see a garlic clubs, it's kind of like that in a sense, but you can research to see how it really looks. It's pretty much just a triangle, but not so pointy in the end of it, in the tip. Some of it kind of be like rounded. It's still pointy but rounded, not too much pointy. All right, I'm adding the lower spike in the lower section. So the first row is the smaller tiny spikes, then the second row is medium, and then the last row would be like the longer ones. Then another layer of the scales in the lower eye section, highlight a little bit in the eyelid. You will see in this tutorial there's a lot of layering. It's a repeat layering, but it's kind of the same over and over. And then I'm adding more again in the nose or the lower left of our eye. Scales, tiny scales in there. So the smaller scales is in the lower left, and then the scales going out to the eye is a little bigger. Then another highlight for the spikes on the upper eye. Another layer on the glare on that eye in there. We're gonna be adding more glare later on, so I'm adding another highlight in the eyelid. Zoom it in so you know what I'm talking about. So adding another layer in the upper eyelid is supposed to be dark. Try to blend them. Pay attention to the strokes of how I add the orange in the inner part, inner section of our pupil. That needs to be your direction when you add your paints. Right, this section in here is like a hair, so it's just a slim strokes, just adding it here and there in the lower section and the upper section. Just a line stroke, but don't make it like straight lines. Try to make it like wavy. It's like a wavy hair, so it doesn't really look stick looking in there. So it's like have a motion. It's better to have motion look than just a straight line. So I'm just adding a little bit of hair section all over the spots that there's no spike. Again, don't pay attention if it's too much white that you did. Don't sweat it. We can modify it. You can add another black of strokes. So add strokes of hairs, like step back, try to look at that where is the best place to add a hair or strokes of hair. Add white, add black. So just modify the way your preference is. So now I'm adding more highlights on my upper spikes, but I'm trying to make it more longer and more pointier. So I stepped back and then I added another highlight on the first section or row of our spikes in the upper spikes. I added smaller section in there and highlights. Okay, sorry about the zoomy and you didn't see how I used the detailed brush to make it really pointy on those spikes, but here you can see it now. That's all I did in there. Just add another layer, make it more pop. Nothing special. So again, layer. This is all about layering. So I'm just adding some spots. Not all of the spike section, it's just some section, just to highlight those. Okay, after I added those white, some of those you might not be able to see it really clearly, but some of those are really harsh line. I just went back and kind of like blend the black and the white. So just blending those to make it smoother look. Again, you can blend, if it's too much white, blend it with black. If it's too much black, blend it white. So it's just a matter of trial and error pretty much on how it looks and how your preference is. So I'm adding again another spikes in there. So just take step back and take a look if what are better section that you might need to add more spikes, or maybe that's it, that's good. So step back. For this tutorial, it is for beginners only, so this is it. Here are the colors that we use: black, titanium white, or the parchment color, and then cadmium red and cadmium light red. If you would like to continue layering your dragon eye, you can. The more you layer, the more realistic it looks. Not just the spike, the eye itself, the pupil itself, you can layer more of those. Just use the dark red, light red, orange, and you can even add some yellow to really highlight the sharpness of that. All right, thank you so much for joining me again. Don't forget, there's a link in the description if you want to buy some of my art products. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe this video. You can also share it. And if you have questions, please comment down below. I will try to answer all your questions. And in the descriptions are the colors and brand of paints and brushes that I use for this painting, and usually it's the same paints and the same brushes that I use for most of my art anyway, so check that out. And this concludes our video. I appreciate your time and hanging out with me. Again, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. You have a blessed day. Goodbye.